Alright, so today we're looking at chapter 6b, determining the slope or the gradient. So they mean the same thing. The definition, so the slope or the gradient. So you'll start to get used to the equation of a straight line, and you might see either the letter B or M, which mean the slope or the gradient. And what that means, it is the steepness of the line, how steep a line is. We can assign a numerical value to the slope. So if it's a positive slope, okay, it's going to go up. Okay, line slopes up from left to right. If it's negative, your line's going to go down, looking like it's going down. Zero slope, okay, so if there's no value for B or M, it's just going to be a horizontal line. And if the slope is not defined, it is a vertical line. So to determine the slope, okay, so to find the gradient, these are your steps. So step 1 is identify 2 points on the line, okay. So for example over here, our line is this red line, and you just pick 2 points on there, okay. So usually you want to pick points that you know are whole numbers, are usually easier. Then what you do is you can create a triangle, because that will help you count the rise and the run. Okay, so for this one, you've got your run. Whoa, hang on. Let's get rainbow down here. Okay, so this is your run. Okay, run is horizontal. I'll just put a little note here. Okay, and then your rise is, well, how far does it go up from A to B? Okay, so that's your vertical line of your triangle if you've drawn one. So once you find the distance of your run and rise, then to find the slope, you divide the rise by the run. Okay, so as an example, for this one, we have the points 1, 4 and 4, 8 on a line. Okay, so to show that a bit better, this is your line. We've picked 2 points on the line, so this one and this one. Okay. Now you can pick any 2 points. The reason those ones are easy is because the point here is directly on point, or the x coordinate 1 and y coordinate 4. Okay, that makes it easy. If you had have picked like a random thing maybe here, okay, if you go down, well, it's 2 point something, it's really hard to tell. And if you look at the y value for this point, it's 5 point something, and it's really hard to see. So that's why you want to choose points on your line that will be whole numbers. So anyway, we've got points A and B here. Then you draw your triangle, okay, to show your rise and run. Okay, the rise, so we're looking at our vertical line. So we've gone up 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so your rise is 4. And your run, okay, going from one point to the next is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Interesting. This one says 3. There must just be an issue with the notes, but that's okay. The run is 6, okay, it goes across 6 values. Actually, if you look down, now I can see why that's wrong. I got it wrong. Because if you go along the line here, if you look at the values down here, every 2 squares is 1. So that's why it's 1, 2, 3. So that's why it's 3. My bad. So now that we've got our rise and our run, we can find the slope by doing rise divided by run. So 4 divided by 3 is 1.33. Okay, so that's the slope. This one is a positive gradient. Okay, we can tell because this number is positive. Okay, it's not a negative number, which means we know our line is going to be going up like this, which it is. Okay, so the next part, so that is a formula. So sometimes it can be hard to pick those 2 points on a line, and then drawing it, okay? Sometimes you might just be given the coordinates of 2 points. And so if you're given those coordinates, you can actually use this formula to find your gradient, okay? So what it does is that to find the slope, you're going to get your y2 minus y1 and divide it by your x2 minus x1. Now all this means it still is rise over run, okay? But what it's saying is that technically when we're finding the rise, so we're finding the vertical, we're finding it from here to here, okay? Because we're looking at the y values because it's going up or down, okay? If you think of a set of axes, okay? We've got x is horizontal and y is vertical. So we're looking at the vertical change going from here, okay, from A up to where we are at B. So that's where you get the y2 minus y1. We want to know the difference between here and here. So that's where you get your y2 minus y1. And then for the run, what we're finding is the difference between the point here at B, okay, and we're looking at obviously the x values horizontally, and then going to x1 here. So we're finding the distance between there. So if you know this one and you subtract x1, you'll get this distance. So that's, yeah, you can use that when you've got 2 points. We'll do an example here. So find the slope of the line through the points 1, 7 and 4, 2 using the formula. So when you have this, you don't even have to sketch it, okay? That's probably your first thing. However, we can use our formula, okay? So what we're going to do is our first point, I'm just going to write over here, our first point is 1, 7 and our second point is 4, 2. So if we can label those, so this is our first point over here and this is our x value and that's our y value. So, and they've put a little 1 there because that's our first point. Our other point is this one, number 2, and y2. Okay, because we know that always in a coordinate it's x and y, but we've labelled them either 1 or 2 depending on whether it's our first point or second point. It doesn't matter which order these are in, you can label them whatever number, it'll still work out. So now that we know that, we substitute our numbers into the formula. That's where you get this. So y2 here is 2, and that's why we've got a 2 here. And then you go minus y1, and y1 is 7, so that's why our 7 goes here. Okay, divided by x2, x2 is 4, that's why we've got 4 here, minus x1, x1 is 1. Okay, and then you just solve it from there. So 2 minus 7 is negative 5, 4 minus 1 is 3, which gives you this. Negative 1.67 is our slope, or our gradient. Because it's a negative number, we know that it's going to have a negative slope, so our line's going to be going downwards. So that's determining the gradient. The next one, the note here, that's what I just said before, it doesn't matter which order you put your points in. So that's 6b, so you can continue with that for me. We're going to have a look at 6c as well today. So we're looking at the intercept slope form of the equation of a straight line. Very wordy, but pretty much the general equation for any straight line is this: y equals a plus bx. Now you might be used to seeing y equals mx plus c. Okay, these are the same thing. Okay, you're probably used to m being your gradient, okay, the number next to the x. Well, in this format, the number next to the x is b, okay, but it still means the gradient. Okay, and from what you're probably used to, this plus c would tell you the intercept, the y-intercept. So over here, it's the number by itself. So the number by itself over here is the a. So this is your y-intercept. Okay, so same thing, it's just written around the other way and with different letters. Okay, this is the intercept slope form. So here is an example. We're looking here now. Write the equation of the straight line given by its y-intercept and slope. Okay, so if you were told your y-intercept is -3 and your slope is -4, you just need to substitute them into your equation here. Okay, you do need to make sure, so for this one, because our slope is -4, okay, this plus is going to turn into a negative because it's a -4. Okay, and that's what it's done here. Okay, so substituting in the values, you will get this. Then sometimes you might be given the equation, and then you need to say from that, what is the y-intercept and the slope? Okay, so the y-intercept is the number by itself, okay, which is this 0.4, and the slope is the number next to the x, which is 7.4. If you need to take note of the negative sign, if this was -7.4, then your slope is -7.4. Okay. So sketching straight line graphs, we need to 2 points to sketch or to draw a straight line. Okay, we need to know 2 points to be able to actually sketch a line graph. So first thing we can do is identify the y-intercept, okay, which we've just looked at doing. Then what you can do is sub in any value for x. Okay, so something easy like x equals 1 or x equals 5, and then you solve for y. Okay, and then you've got coordinates. Number 3 says draw the 2 points on the graph, label the coordinates. So at this point you do have 2 points. Your first point is your y-intercept. Okay, this is your y-intercept because for a y-intercept, x always equals 0. That's why I know that that's going to be 0. Okay, and then our second point is if whatever value you choose, okay, for x, it could be x equals 2. If you want to make it hard for yourself, you can choose x equals 7.3 or something silly. But let's just say we choose x equals 1. So we know when x equals 1, you'll find a value for y. Okay, so that's where your 2 points come from. Once you have those, you label them on your graph. Okay, and then you can draw a straight line through the points. So once you have those 2 points, you can draw them on your graph. Number 5, make sure you label the line with its equation. Okay, so once you finish drawing your graph, so you'll have something that looks like this, you need to make sure you put, so this line, it's like naming it, is y equals a plus bx, but you will have numbers in here for a and b. Alright, so an example, sketch the graph, so this is our equation, y equals 8 plus 2x. We know that the y-intercept is the number not next to the x or the one by itself, so it's 8. Okay, so the y-intercept is 8, which means the coordinate is 0, 8. Then we sub in any value for x, so again, something easy. For this example, they chose x equals 5. So subbing it in, it looks like this, and then you work it out, and y equals 18. So that means another coordinate on your line is 5, 18. Okay, then you can now draw the 2 points on the line. Okay, so they've done it here. Oh, sorry, on your graph. And then you draw a line straight through them, and you've just sketched your linear graph. Okay, label the line. That's where this comes from. That's why that's sitting there. You always have to label your line. Okay, now you should be right to do exercise 6C.